Oh, you there. I'm looking at my uncle's computer, and you know that this personal computer is designed for only individual user. Hmm. It performs all of its input, output, and storage activities by itself. Do you know that today, personal computer is every part of home and office? Now, it contains input device, an output device, a storage device, a memory, and a processor. By the way, I'm Marjan Magboo, LEP 1B Day, Bachelor for Science in Computer Science. Do you know the history of computer? If you're not, listen. The evolution of modern-day computer started in China at 500 BC. The abacus was probably the original mechanical counting device. It has survived centuries of technological advancement, for it is widely used today. And because of this concept, a French named Louis Pascal invented and built the Pascaline on 1642. His invention was gear-driven with counting wheels, which perform a mathematical operation like addition. He built this device to help his father, who was a tax collector. The numbers for each device contains with the wheels and arranged in a single revolution that the wheels to its immediate left. Roughly 2 centuries later, in 1805, another Frenchman named Joseph Marie Jaguar invented the weaving loom, which is roughly called the Jaguar weaving loom. This device is covered with and controlled with the card, which is in the hose are strategically punched. The punch cards are separated sequences to indicate a particular weaving device. This concept of computers were laid down by the 19th century by an English visionary and a Cambridge professor by Charles Babbage that invented the difference engine. Difference engine is invented by him in 1822 to 1833, which was capable of computing mathematical operations, but unfortunately failed to complete his invention. So, a decade later, Lady Augusta Lovelace presented that the idea that punch card was be used to instruct by the Babbage engines. Because of this, she was known as the first programmer on that year. In 1884, a statistician named Dr. John Atanasoff or Herman Hollerith invented the punch card tabulating machine was used by U.S. Census to complete a 10-year census. But Herman Hollerith left the company of computer industry. From 1935 to 1938, Dr. John V. Atanasoff, together with his best graduate student, Clifford Berry, made another computer which named as the Atanasoff-Berry computer. Atanasoff, which come from Dr. Atanasoff's name, and Berry from Clifford Berry. Because of the help of his students, he was known. Dr. Atanasoff is recognized as the man who invented the electronic digital computer. But 2 years later, the IBM sponsored the electronic device that's called the Mark I. So by the improvement of the computers, the Mark I is Mark I is created by Howard Aiken, that who was a professor in Harvard University. It had many similarities to Charles Babbage engines. The ideas of Dr. Atanasoff inspired the first functional electronic digital computer that's called ENIAC-1. The ENIAC stands for Electronic Numerical Integrator and Calculator. So, the ENIAC was completed in 1916 at a price of $3 million. At this early stage in the history of modern computers, man began to realize that the capability of computers like ENIAC is important. It is sad to note that ENIAC computer is used to work on the calculation of the atomic bomb by the Germans. They use the Enigma code to open a program. So, the leaders of ENIAC project, John Magboo and J. Presper Eckert, designed the first functional general-purpose computer called the UNIVAC-1. From the invention of Mark I goes to ENIAC, and now the invention for UNIVAC-1 was invented by John Magboo and J. Presper Eckert. The UNIVAC-1 was introduced in 1951 and was first used by the U.S. Bureau of Census to tabulate census statistics. So, in 1953, General Electric made to collaborate the annals of computing history when it became the first private enterprise to buy a computer called the UNIVAC. And UNIVAC-1 became so successful. The invention of this UNIVAC would be highly improved. It became the transistors. A transistor is a solid-state circuit with components. So, in short, the first generation of computers has a vacuum tube, a resistor, and welded metal joints. The second generation, the vacuum tube replaced by transistor as main logic system. By these improvements, the third generation is the IC, or the integrated circuit, which is a single, a wafer, or a chip that can hold many transistors and electronic devices with its circuits. The generation was improved and improved by the time. And the fourth generation, which is the present, is the microprocessor that's built on a tiny piece of silicon, which is using today. That was the history of computers. So, let's back to this. This is a personal computer. A personal computer is designed for an individual user. It performs all of its input, output, storage activities by itself. Actually, today, it's in every part of home and an office. It has one output device, one input device, a storage device, a memory, and a processor. A computer has a 7-part. The first one is the monitor. The monitor displays information in visual form or text. The screen. The screen is where the information can be seen. The next one is the mouse. The mouse is fitted only on our palm, the palm of our hands. It is used to point to and select items on the computer screen. The next is this keyboard. The keyboard is the main input device that's used to communicate with the computer. It is used mainly for typing text from the computer and to select a paragraph. The next one is this printer. This printer can transfer information from computer to papers. The next is this. The next part is the speakers, which allow you to have sounds on the computer. If you have board, you can use this to have sounds. The most important part of the computer is the system unit. The system unit is the rectangular box that that's placed underneath the desk of your computer. Inside this is many components that process information. Okay, let's see what inside this.